My affair partner called my husband at 10:14 on a Thursday night. I know the exact time because I was sitting 3 feet away from him when it happened. My husband looked at his phone, then at me. Then he answered, "Hello?" There was silence. My husband's expression changed. Not anger, not surprise, something else. Then he said, "You don't need to apologize to me." I stared at him. He listened for another few seconds. Then he said, "I already forgave you." My heart stopped, because the man on the other end of that phone was the man I'd betrayed him with. My name is Lauren. My husband's name is David. The man I had an affair with was Ryan. David and I had been married for 10 years. We met when we were 26. We weren't one of those couples who posted romantic pictures every weekend. We were quieter than that. We built a life. We bought a house. We adopted a dog. We had Sunday breakfasts. We argued about money and whose turn it was to do laundry. We had ordinary problems. And for a long time, I thought ordinary meant unhappy. David wasn't exciting. He didn't surprise me with expensive gifts. He didn't drag me onto airplanes at midnight. He didn't make me feel like I was starring in a movie. But he was there, always. When my mother had surgery, David took 2 weeks off work to help me. When I lost my job, he never made me feel like a failure. When my father died, he sat beside me every night because he knew I couldn't sleep alone. He loved me in ways I stopped noticing. Then Ryan started working at my company. He was confident, funny, flirtatious. He noticed things David had stopped mentioning. My hair, my clothes, the little things I said. He made me feel interesting again. At first, it was harmless. Lunch together, messages after work, a drink, then another. Eventually, we crossed a line. The affair lasted 7 months. I became someone I didn't recognize. I lied constantly. I deleted messages. I invented meetings. I even started resenting David for noticing that I was distant. Then one night, David found out. He didn't catch us. He didn't see a message. He found a hotel receipt in the pocket of my coat. He put it on the kitchen table. "Who's Ryan?" I stared at him. I could have lied. Instead, I told him everything. He listened. Didn't yell. Didn't insult me. Didn't even ask me how long it had been until I'd finished confessing. Then he asked one question. "Do you love him?" I whispered, "I don't know." David nodded. "I think you do." He went upstairs. That night, he slept in the guest room. The next morning, he told me he wanted a divorce. I begged him not to. He said, "I can't stay married to someone who wishes she were somewhere else." I moved out 2 months later. Ryan and I moved in together. For a while, we were happy. Or at least I thought we were. We had no secrets anymore. And somehow, without the secrecy, the relationship felt different. Ryan started noticing things. I was always comparing him to David. I didn't mean to. But I did. David remembered things. Ryan didn't. David was patient. Ryan wasn't. David liked planning. Ryan hated schedules. The more time passed, the more I realized I'd traded stability for excitement. Ryan noticed too. One night he asked, "Do you still love him?" I froze. "Who?" "David." I didn't answer. Ryan nodded. That's what I thought. Our relationship slowly fell apart. But the strangest thing happened afterward. Ryan began feeling guilty. Not about losing me, about what he'd done to David. One night, I found him sitting at the kitchen table staring at his phone. "What's wrong?" He looked at me. "I want to call him." My stomach dropped. "Why?" "I need to apologize." "Ryan, don't." "I need to." "You don't owe him anything." Ryan shook his head. I owe him an apology. You didn't make the vows. No. He looked at me. But I knew he was married to you. That silenced me. I knew exactly what I was doing. I kept telling myself it wasn't my responsibility. But it was. I tried to convince him not to call. He did anyway. David answered. Ryan introduced himself. There was a long silence. Then Ryan said, I'm sorry. David didn't respond. Ryan continued, I don't expect you to forgive me. Another pause. I just needed you to know that I regret what I did. David finally spoke. I appreciate you saying that. Ryan started crying. Then he asked the question that shocked me. Can you forgive me? I closed my eyes. David was silent for several seconds. Then he said, Yes. Ryan looked at me. David continued, but not because you deserve it. Because I don't want to carry this anymore. Ryan wiped his eyes. I understand. David said, And Ryan? Yes? Then don't spend the rest of your life punishing yourself for one terrible decision. Ryan broke down. I hurt you. I know. I destroyed your marriage. David sighed. No. She and I destroyed our marriage. I started crying. David continued. You made a terrible choice. So did she. But I'm not giving either of you the power to decide what happens to me now. The call ended. Ryan sat at the table for a long time. Then he looked at me. He's a good man. I nodded. I know. Ryan shook his head. No. I don't think you do. I looked at him. He forgave me. I know. He forgave me for sleeping with his wife. Ryan's voice cracked. And somehow, he's still worried about whether I was okay. Neither of us spoke. That night, Ryan packed a bag. What are you doing? I'm leaving. Why? He looked at me. Because I finally understand something. What? I didn't steal you from David. You were already lost. I started crying. Ryan. He shook his head. You don't need another man to make you feel wanted. You need to figure out why being wanted became so important to you. Then he left. I was alone. For the first time in years, completely alone. And I hated it. At first, I wanted to call David. I wanted him to save me. I wanted him to tell me that everything could go back to the way it was. But I knew better, so I didn't call. Instead, I started therapy. I learned how to sit with myself. I learned that boredom wasn't the same as unhappiness. I learned that attention wasn't love. I learned that being desired wasn't the same as being valued. And eventually, I stopped wanting David back. Not because I stopped loving him, because I finally understood that loving someone didn't mean I was entitled to them. 2 years later, I ran into David at a grocery store. He was wearing a wedding ring. I smiled. You're married. He nodded. Her name is Amanda. I'm happy for you. He smiled. Thank you. We stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then I said, Ryan called you. David nodded. I remember. Did you really forgive him? David looked at me. Yes. Why? He thought for a moment. Said no. Because I didn't want my life to be defined by what you two did. I nodded. Does it still hurt? Sometimes. Do you hate me? He shook his head. No. Do you forgive me? He looked at me for a long time. I did a long time ago. I started crying, not because I wanted him back, because for the first time, I understood what forgiveness actually meant. It didn't mean David thought what we did was acceptable. It didn't mean the marriage could be restored. It didn't mean the consequences disappeared. It simply meant he refused to spend the rest of his life carrying our mistakes. Ryan had asked my husband to forgive him, and David did. But the strangest part was, Ryan wasn't the person who needed that forgiveness most. I was. Because for years I had punished myself by believing I was permanently broken. David's forgiveness finally taught me something I couldn't learn from guilt. You can admit you were wrong, without believing you have to remain that person forever. I still think about that phone call. The night the man I betrayed asked the man he betrayed for forgiveness. And sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Ryan had never called. Maybe I'd still be blaming David. Maybe I'd still be blaming Ryan. Maybe I'd still be telling myself that I ruined my marriage because I simply found the wrong person. Instead, I finally understood the truth. I didn't destroy my marriage because Ryan was irresistible. I destroyed it because I made a choice. And David didn't forgive Ryan because what happened didn't matter. He forgave him because his own future mattered more. That night, Ryan asked my husband to forgive him. But in the end, David's forgiveness gave all three of us something we hadn't known how to give ourselves: a chance to stop living in the worst moment of our lives.